Welcome to a university student's take on the psychology of money. I want to see what actual lessons can university students walk away with this book. What can we apply to a real life financial situation of a university student? So, if you're not a university student, I'm sorry, you're out of luck, but without further ado, let's get the show on the road. When I'm talking to my parents about my finances, they're like, Beta, you should always save money. You never know when you'll have a certain expense. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'll save money. I'll do it. But then I just don't end up doing it. You know, such is the life of a teenager. But then, and the idea is that your savings is the gap between your ego and your income. And the way that you want to raise your savings is to actually increase your humility. So, what does this actually mean? It means that you should identify that how much do you actually need to be comfortable with? Like, do you need to keep buying new things to live a comfortable life? If you're in any Indian like WhatsApp group chats or any family kind of group chats, you always have your grandparents throwing in memes, your uncle is sending some, advice and stuff. And there's this one image that really caught my eye, and I'll put it up on screen. And that image got me thinking about you should make financial decisions which help you sleep better at night. That image has a number one, and that's health. And there's so many zeros after that, but all of those things just do not matter in this life if you don't have number one. That's your health. And if certain financial decisions make you feel stressed, lose sleep, truly it's not worth it, honestly, because your health is the single most important thing that you have. As soon as you lose your health, everything else doesn't matter. One idea that caught my eye is that you should define the cost of success and be ready to pay it. Now, what does this actually mean? It means that A, nothing is free, and B, most financial costs actually have hidden tags that you don't see immediately, but we can feel those costs later on in our lives. Now, for example, if you went out with the boys on a Friday night to the casino and you spent too much money, an example would be feeling stressed about making next month's rent because you went a little bit too hard last night with the boys and spent too much money at the casino. That feeling of uncertainty, stress, that's your hidden cost. And that hidden cost would be called a fine, a punishment, or a penalty that you don't want to pay. But because of those decisions, you had to pay it. Often, if you're making the right financial decisions for yourself, these hidden fees are actually worth paying. But a crucial point is that you should view them as fees, meaning something worth paying to get something else in return, which is nice to have, rather than fines, a punishment or a penalty that you really don't want to pay. An example of a fee that I experienced would be when I first invested into the stock market into a low cost index fund. And I checked my banking up the very next day and I saw that, like, oh, the stock is down. I'm like, did I just waste my money? Like, it's my first investment. It's already down the first day. Like, I don't actually know if this is actually like working out. But over time, you realize that that's just a fee. Volatility in the market is just a fee. Personally, for me, I'm going to be holding my stocks for a very long time. So even if there's market volatility right now, or if there's major changes, I know that through like with the amount of time that I'm investing, which is about 50 years, like the market will improve. People and companies will come along and add more value to the market. And these doubts, those emotional costs that we don't foresee, some of them are worth paying, others, not so much. Another idea that I wanted to talk about from the psychology of money was the ability to live below your means and how much money is enough. Of course, everyone's answer to how much money is enough will be different. My answer will be different to your answer. Your answer will be different to the person next to you. But being able to recognize what are your needs in life and what are your wants. I know that these are very fundamental, these are basics, but following the basics is how people get financially secure. And I really do believe that this is a very important lesson. On the topic of having how much is enough, I really do think at a certain level, it's an ego thing. Like, do you really need that new car? Do you really need that new Labubu that just dropped? Do you need that new trending thing to showcase to other people that, oh, I have this thing? To help me decide whether, when I'm in the buying process, whether or not I really need something, what I do and the strategy that I implement is I literally just wait a month and I just think about, do I actually need this thing or not? Because if I wait a month, then the intrinsic motivation and the extrinsic motivation will separate. The intrinsic motivation will be, oh, I actually really, really want this thing. And it's okay if I can just wait a month. The extrinsic motivation is, oh, I really wanted it. Like, it just got me really excited in the moment. And I just wanted it in the moment. But now that I've had the time to step back, reflect, and think about, do I actually want this thing? That it turns out that I didn't need it. And by just having the ability to just step back, just giving myself time to just process and think, it has really helped me to make better financial decisions for myself. For example, I finally got this merch, this F1, like the Formula One Williams merch. After such a long time, I've been wanting to get their merch for the past 2, 3 years, and I finally got the opportunity to. So I went out and bought it. Yes, it was expensive, but you know what? I knew from the heart of my heart that I genuinely wanted this merch and I wanted to wear it every single day. In comparison to a bad financial decision I made, which was I saw a game and I wasn't really sure if I wanted it or not, and I didn't wait. Like, genuinely, like, I should have waited a month. I didn't wait a month. I waited about, I think, a week max, and then I bought it, which got me thinking about self control and it, the ability to just step back. It really helps you to practice that self control. And in that moment, I definitely failed. And if you do implement that strategy within your own financial life, you will see that there are times where you're going to fail. That's just life. As you keep practicing that skill, it's like going to the gym and getting your reps in. The more exercises you do, the more often you do it, the better you get at it. And the more reps you can get in your self control on, do you really need to buy that thing? Or is it just the excitement, the momentum of wanting to buy it? You'll be able to make better financial decisions because you now have the ability to step back and go, okay, let me just think about this for a minute and let's just see if I really want it or if it's just that momentum, that excitement, that external motivation that's just pushing me to go and get this thing. One topic that I really wanted to talk about that really caught my attention was chapter 16, You and Me. Taking financial cues from people that are playing fundamentally a different game to the one that you're playing is dangerous because they have different goals to you, and whatever strategies that they're implementing, it'll work to achieve outcomes that they want, but not outcomes that you desire. It's very important to understand that there's multiple types of people and everyone has different goals and everyone has different methods of achieving those goals. For me personally, I'm trying to make sure that I have enough saved up for my retirement, as opposed to the short term traders that are buying a particular stock, knowing that that the stock will go up, but then they're going to sell it as soon as they can so they can get that. One idea that I wanted to talk about that really stood out to me was the idea of being financially unbreakable. So, what does that mean? So, that means that even if your investments go bad, you will still be financially unbreakable. It means that you will still be okay, even if a big investment of yours failed. That means having a safety net of enough cash on hand that no matter how big the investment was, or if you have a sudden life expense as well. Life is really funny and it has the ability to just throw massive expenses at you when you least expect it. Let's say that you have hospital bills to pay, or you have to cover a sudden expense that you didn't see in the future. And having that room for error, that really like led me to think about the idea of being financially secure, that even if something happens in the future, I'm still going to be financially okay, that I still have that runway of money. People talk a lot about having that rainy day fund, or that you should have something like 6 months of your salary packed away just in case you need it. And having that amount of money is always good. So even if you have a sudden expense like some hospital bills, you'll still be okay, and you'll still be financially unbreakable. Well, unlike these bills, of course. Now, continuing on from that rainy day fund, the ability to have that amount of cash on hand, it gives you one thing: freedom. Let's say that you're applying for jobs all around the city and you have another 6 months of cash that you can just live off of. You can just take your time and apply for jobs and find the best one that has the best salary for you. Otherwise, if you didn't have that cash on hand, you would have had to just settle for whichever job came next. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. And what I'm trying to say is that it's more about your time in the market as opposed to timing the market. And there's a famous quote by Matthew McConaughey that says, basically, no one actually knows what the stock market is going to do. Not me, not you, not those famous stock market traders. They don't know either. But one thing that we do know for sure, for certain, is that your time within the market is much more important compared to trying to find the best time to sell, the best time to buy, especially if you're somebody like me that's currently buying low cost index funds. So an index fund is like a basket of stocks. Think of an Easter basket. You have many different sized eggs. The different sized eggs would be the different kinds of stocks, how big the weightage is within that ETF. So what that means is that how much percentage of an ETF is taken up by a single stock. For example, if we're going to be looking at the S&P 500, the biggest companies in those stocks in that specific ETF, the biggest companies within that specific ETF would probably be Google, Nvidia, Meta, and the rest of the Magnificent Seven. The last idea that I wanted to talk about that really stood out to me was the idea of the seduction of pessimism. That no matter that losses that occur in the markets, they stick within our heads much more quickly. We pay more attention to them. We talk about them. But we fail to see the slow growth that happens every day. They could be in some stocks that we're holding, it could be in other industries, but growth is happening. It's just happening so slowly at times that we just don't notice it. There's a study by Daniel Kahneman that puts this parable into a real life situation and context. And within that study, they gave a person $100 and they gave a different person. Within that study, they gave person A $100 and gave person B and took away person. Within Daniel Kahneman's study, they found out that the pain of losing $100 was twice as powerful as the joy of gaining $100. And that just speaks to how we're hardwired as humans back in 10,000 BC when we were scavenging for food. If there was a lion that would show up, then obviously we would need to run. And our brains are hardwired to see threats as the more important thing at the time compared to the positives. That, oh, we just found some food, but oh, look, there's a lion right there that's going to eat us and we need to run away. Once you understand that as like a general life thing, then it makes it easier to recognize and slow down whenever there are situations within your life that have gone wrong. Okay, now time for the closing thoughts about the psychology of money. I'm just going to be completely honest. I would recommend this book to literally everybody I know, and I will die on this hill. Because in life, we're not really taught finances in schools or in universities unless you specifically choose to go down that route. And personal finances is one of those skills that will change your life. It will change whether or not you can make the rent this month. It will change whether or not can you afford to buy that BMW. It will change whether or not can you actually buy that double-story house that you dream of for your family. And it doesn't matter how young you are, it doesn't matter how old you are. I would recommend that everybody get their hands on this book and make sure that they read it. But don't just read the book, apply some of the things that work for your financial situation. Reading all of these books is great and all, but if you don't actually take away the knowledge and apply it separately to your own life, then there's no point of reading. But yeah, that's it for this week's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching.